Hi there, and welcome Nina Widdicombe to 5 Questions with Nick Clover on everything current and relevant at the moment. Nina, you are currently Head of Recruitment and Attraction at the Big Table Group. So thank you so much for joining me, and really nice to meet you again, albeit we're at different ends of the country. And I believe you're up north at the moment?
I am indeed. The sun is shining.
Sun is shining up in Preston, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, in the northwest.
As it is in Godalming at the moment, although it's fairly changeable. So I might see a downpour any second, but who knows? Who knows? It's really good to see you.
Thank you.
And just wanted to take the opportunity to ask a couple of questions. Obviously, we're all about the industry and people in the industry, and it's obviously a fairly interesting time, I think is one way to put it, and with a lot of challenges which are there to be overcome, but with the understanding that it's not easy sometimes. So Nina, my first question to you is, pre-COVID, we had a fairly heavy staff shortage within the UK hospitality market, and just wanted to find out what your experience was in terms of the balance of attracting new staff and training and retaining existing staff.
Yeah, of course. You know, I've worked for Casual Dining Group for 5 years, and I've worked within the remit of talent and recruitment. And we've always found that, especially for back of house roles, in general, that there is a staff shortage. Like, I think that across the country, it's well-known fact that there is a chef shortage, and it's something we've struggled with for a long time. When I first joined the organisation, we had a programme in place where we would look at bringing chefs in from abroad, from Portugal, and we had a stream of talent that we would bring in and house and, you know, get them on board in order to attract people that would then be loyal to us, and obviously develop them into more senior positions within the kitchen. And that was our way of almost like funneling talent into the business, because actually if you just rely on normal methods of attraction, those back of house roles are really difficult to fill and have been for a long time. Moving on, sort of in the last few years, that we've always worked very closely to think a little bit differently about talent in those particular roles, because there's a shortage and the market, you know, there's a lot of casual dining brands out there that are in a very similar position. The war on talent is tough, so you have to think differently. And we in 2019 certainly we started entering into partnerships and looking at what I would call that alternative talent resource pools. So we've partnered with a number of different charities, All Payment Away being one, Prince's Trust being another. We also do a lot of work with the Department for Work and Pensions, and we have a programme for Syrian refugees. So we're thinking differently in our business, and by building programmes like that and giving people opportunities that wouldn't necessarily be given opportunities, we're slowly but surely building those talent pipelines into our kitchens, and that's been quite a good source of talent for us. And I don't think it just stops there. Like, I think we have to constantly be innovating and constantly be thinking about how we're going to continue to do that, because your question was obviously pre-COVID, and I've talked about the traditional sort of skills shortage that we have experienced as an industry. But actually what's going to be very interesting is now, well, we're still fighting our way through the COVID pandemic, but at the end of that, like, what does hospitality look like? Is it somewhere that young people coming out of school, coming out of colleges would still want to perhaps be attracted to, simply because of the way it has been massively impacted? So are we going to start seeing that actually some of our front of house roles are also going to be difficult to fill? Are people still going to want to work in our industry when it's being heavily publicised just how much of an impact the pandemic has had on it? And when you consider the industries that have thrived during the pandemic, you're looking at e-commerce, you're looking at Amazon, you're looking at, you know, the retail sector, supermarkets. They have all been able to benefit almost from this happening, and a lot of the people that perhaps were furloughed during the lockdown period, may well have decided to go and find extra income sources in those types of industries, and perhaps they've found jobs now where they are better suited. So are we now going to have to start competing for the likes of those companies for talent, you know, across the board? I can't answer that question, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see what trends come out over the next few months.
Wow, the expression war on talent, and I think that's absolutely right. I love how you and your team have looked differently to attract talent. I wasn't aware until this conversation in regards to Syrian refugees. I was aware of obviously the work you do with Own Your Pavement Away, and you know, giving those opportunities is absolutely crucial for the responsibility and sustainability of hospitality. What's happened since then? I think you're right, Nina. I think we've lost a lot of people to other industries, and it does make me a little bit concerned in regards to the skill shortage that potentially we're facing as during a crucial time that the bar of hospitality needs to be raised massively. And for what it's worth, my opinion is that the quality, the best operators in the market are who we need to be looking to be attracting talent from the schools, the natural talent, as well as keeping talent, you know, progressing and having more and more positive case studies and giving more to the customer. I know this is supposed to be questions to you, so forgive me jumping in and giving my opinion as well, but I'm quite interested actually at the moment, and actually saddened by the numbers of redundancies that are happening, you know, within the industry, and companies have got to make those decisions, unfortunately, or are choosing to make those decisions. What's your view?
I mean, I suppose I'm an ever optimist person, so from my perspective, I imagine those decisions haven't been made lightly. The companies that are choosing to close restaurants and as a result make people redundant, and then look at, you know, the cost savings that could be made perhaps across the business in head offices, etc. I think these decisions won't have been made lightly, and what I would like to think is it's actually putting companies in a better position to be able to tackle a post-COVID market. So from a perspective of it's going to be a positive for the industry as a whole in the future. Obviously, I can't not comment on the fact that there's so many people that have now lost their jobs through redundancy and are now unfortunately facing prospects of having to find work and having to find jobs. And that, of course, is really sad. And it's really sad to see, especially because the hospitality industry is a renowned people industry. So many people losing their livelihoods and losing jobs where perhaps they've been for a long time and they've poured a lot of passion and a lot of heart and soul into it is really sad to see. But I think for the good of the industry moving forward, I'd like to think it's short-term pain, perhaps long-term gain. And then those decisions that have been made during this process, perhaps in 6 months' time to 12 months' time, will businesses get back up on their feet and those opportunities start to become available again for people to come back into the industry. And that's where I'm saying, you know, I'm quite an optimistic person, and I think, yes, it's bad at the moment, but will it stay bad forever? I'm not sure. And actually, in the long run, we will be probably a better off as an industry, I would imagine.
I really hope so. I do share your optimism. I think it's an industry with a lot of potential. I think it's an industry with a fair amount to answer for. But at the same time, I have no doubt that this is a short-term challenge and a hell of a challenge that no one has ever faced, obviously, and as an industry we'll have to play our cards right, really. But I think that, you know, to go back to that benchmark of what you know, real attention to people looks like, and looking after people, and I think that the collaboration of hospitality is absolutely crucial at the moment, and doing it together and actually being championing the industry together is absolutely crucial. And you know, I know we see eye to eye on that one, but I love the optimism. The future skill shortage. I mean, where do we even start? What are your thoughts? And how do we attract future talent to hospitality?
So my personal perspective is we have to do more at school age in terms of making the industry attractive to people who can then see it potentially as a career, somewhere they can build their skills and develop themselves. So I'm talking people, you know, leaving school at 18, college age, where perhaps the traditional route would have been to go on to university. I think that's slowly but surely starting to change, and we're seeing different trends now where people, well, I see two things. I see people wanting to do different types of education pursuits, so apprenticeships are quite a big thing, and people don't just want to go to university anymore, they want to earn whilst they learn, and so I think that's an area where we could really capitalise. And then I think that there's also a growing trend for young people nowadays to want to like run their own business. With the rise of social media, people like to utilize platforms like that and have what I would call like a side hustle. And I think from my perspective, if we could tap into young people at the age of 18 and really drive the message home that hospitality is not only a brilliant industry to join, but the soft skills and the business skills that you could develop if you were to join at a young age, and you know, within 3-4 years potentially be running your own business, and tap into the fact that you could literally go from, you know, the bar to boardroom in quite a short amount of time if you're hardworking, dedicated and motivated. I feel like I'm very passionate about hospitality being seen as somewhere you can really drive your career. And I think there's so much more work to do, because I do believe that the stereotype is still out there that it's just something you do on the way to something else. And actually, you can really, if you are a talented individual and you've got the motivation, I believe hospitality is somewhere where you can be someone. And to sort of add on to that around sort of the whole trend we're seeing with people wanting to run their own businesses and that. Again, I'd love to be able to see us as an industry attract people through, well, why don't you come on board with us? Why don't you learn those really important business style skills and then go and run your own business? But look, at the age of 25, you could run your own restaurant, you could run your own pub, you could run your own cafe, you know, whatever they are. And I don't think there's many industries out there that give people that sort of meteoric rise in terms of development in a short space of time. And I think there's more we could do to really push that. And from my perspective, apprenticeships and having strong internal development programs within companies and within brands is a really important part. I don't, like I said earlier, I'm a recruiter and I'm a talent, you know, manager. And actually, the two are intrinsically linked. You need to attract the very best talent, and you need to develop them, and that's where you have a good people model, because then people stay and you retain people and they're engaged and more productive. So from my perspective, that's what it's about. We need to get young people in, get them with the hook, and then build them with the skills, the capabilities, and develop them, and get them to understand that actually it's a really great place to grow your career.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that there's a huge opportunity to attract talent. I think it's a challenge because ultimately, one, it's actually attracting people to hospitality, which comes with a lot of the positive noises in terms of what you can achieve. And then it's making sure that as an industry things get better and better, and that people are really treated well and looked after, and all of the key things that you know, a people focused business will do. I mean, from a perspective from, you know, a supplier based hospitality based business, it's you know, it's a real difficult decision to make or to not make redundancies, and I'm certainly sort of looking at the latter, because I see this being a pain point which will finish, and who knows, you know, everyone's got an opinion, and no one actually knows what the future holds. What we do know is that you know, our businesses are getting bigger. We're starting to trade again in whichever side of the fence we sit on. But those successful case studies, you know, we're surrounded by you know, a lot of talented, successful people who, and I go back to those collaborations, Nina, that if we come together and sort of, you know, beat the same drum, as it were, which is hospitality, but with an honest perspective of we're not perfect, you know, as I've said before, then I think hopefully sort of come through into a better place. I think we're probably running out of time, and I know everyone's really busy. So with the risk of, we'll continue this debate, of course, Nina, but just for the sake of wrapping things up, I'm Nick from Hospitality Jobs UK. You're Nina from, we're going Casual Dining Group or Big Table Group, doesn't really matter. You're Nina Widdicombe, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nick.
See you soon. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.